So we were talking about patronage. So in the past, during Renaissance days, artists were often dependent on wealthy patrons and church to create their artworks. So this patronage system provided artists financial support, but also determined which subjects they could work on and how they could work. So today, of course, things are different. Artists generally market their work through galleries, exhibitions, or collectors or online platforms, and they also have the freedom to choose their own projects. Sometimes financial supports are also available. Artists are not solely dependent on the galleries or the collectors. There are also social media platforms allow them to showcase their artwork directly and build their own markets. So they can also create their own personal brand, whatever they want to create. So this gives artists more independence and control. I admit this part, that this part is nice. And also it lets them choose which project to pursue, who to collaborate with, and how they want to be seen, all while reaching a global audience with just a single post. And this part is the most beneficial part. I agree with this part. But in patronage system, patrons also provide for their artists basic needs, food, clothing, shelter, instruments, but also without pressuring them to produce work on a strict schedule. So even if months or years pass without any output, the patrons continue their support, trusting that creative brilliance will emerge naturally when the artist is free from hunger and urgency. So this is also the beautiful part. Obviously, the fact that they're dependent on the patrons in terms of ideas, like what are they going to create, this part is bad. This part is sucks, but the financial support part is nice. But also, there are not many artists that had this financial support as well. So if we think percentage wise, today artist has more advantage, and I also accept that part. So we know the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if you don't have to survive, you're more capable of create, also reflect, experiment, and genuinely put your work out there. We know this. You need to have a 9 to 5 job to provide your financial security so that you can create. So this part fails in terms of Maslow's hierarchy, because you need to work, but after you work, you don't even have enough energy to create something. You don't even have enough energy to think about something. So this is the part that it just like loses its balance to a human nature, because this is not only about creating art stuff. As humans, we need to rest, we need to think, we need some free time. We're not here only to just work and work. This system that we live in is totally and utterly against to human nature. So leisure time. So people who work for a living know that what it's like to feel like their life isn't really their own. So you watch the clock, you wait for 5 p.m., wait until your time and energy are finally yours again. And the thing is that we've built a world where most of our time has to be sold just to survive. Are we aware that we can change it if we like? If we want to change it, we can change it. It is possible. Because after all that work, we're so drained and demoralized that we don't even want to do anything in our free time, which is also a concept created by us due to the amount of work we put in every day. Free time. What is this concept? In fact, so we created this leisure time due to alienation and repulsive feelings stemming from a forced production and even a forced lifestyle brought about by consumer culture. Because our compulsory labor cycles, which are made sustainable by the system, push us into a compulsory work environment by turning everything we do into a consumer item. So that's why we feel the need to escape this compulsory environment. In fact, everything we are exposed to continues to draw us into this system. So social media is one of the most basic example of this. So we said content creation, right? So even though we create, we are still in the system. We produce within the system, and we are still in a consumption cycle. So in fact, we are now produced everything for a consumer, and not because we genuinely enjoy doing it. And we are still responding to the system and working for it. The world needs a shift, needs a change, and it needs to shift away from a system that exploits and drains us like capitalism, and towards one that actually nurtures creativity, whether that's socialism or a resource-based approach. So we work to often serve someone else's goal, provide for someone else. And then what happens? Life becomes divided. Remember the Severance TV series? Life becomes divided between labor and the attempts to escape it, what we call leisure. What happens in here when our activity or free time or everything starts to be controlled, we feel like nothing is belongs to us. And we do really feel that. So we always want to be free. We always crave freedom because we are humans. We shouldn't always be serving others as a product machine. There has to be meaning. There has to be a goal that comes from our heart, compatible with our nature. So in the article of the new conspicuous consumption, there is a comparison of the rich kids' Instagram to the oil paintings of the European elites. So this article discusses the similarities between the competitive individualism and entrepreneurship as reflected in social media today, and the ostentatious wealth displayed through oil paintings and other art forms among European elites in the 17th and 18th centuries, highlighting the social status and wealth that was showcased through painting. I think this is a very good point. Like, some things change form but remain the same. Like the photographs shared on Instagram, the oil paintings of this period called attention to the subject, prestige, and status, and illustrates the role of depiction in asserting and reinforcing social privilege. It's not very different from the era of in the Renaissance. People are like the high bourgeoisie people hiring artists to showcase the luxurious lifestyle that these rich people have. So what they do, they ask for their portraits, or they ask for luxurious items like different sorts of fruits, foods, jewelries, clothings. They want every single one of these items to be depicted and to be shown to the outer world so that they can show that they are the elites. They hold the social privileges. They have a prestige. They have a status. Look at the Instagram kids right now, like the like rich people, or like the people who get a luxurious lifestyle very quickly, like the finance bros, or people do like trading, and like look at their Instagram, like and also the children of the rich people. I think it's very similar. When we're talking about those days, like the days in the Renaissance or also that period, we say that we're ashamed, right? But right now, in our current circumstances, we don't say that we're ashamed. Oppositely, we want to be like them. We want to, wow, like I also want this lifestyle, and so on and so on. I don't know, but I think we should really see the bigger picture in here, and how the system and where the system leads us. There's a great psychological resolution in this article: a display of braggadocio, signifying disdain for cost, and a gratification in denying others the experience of wealth rather than sharing it. The status they have, or like the people that are privileged, the people, rich people we were talking about, the joy comes from that not everybody has their wealth. This is the thing that we need to understand. Like the joy or the enjoyment doesn't come from the money. It comes from the idea that only they have. This is a rich people mindset. I think we need to see the real enemy, the people that we need to be aware of. So in the 15th century, Dutch painters would sometimes mark a skull in the back of portraits of their affluent sitters to remind them of life's ephemeral nature and its earthly pleasures. So skull as memento mori reminds us the constant company of death and its function as the great leveler. Also, the wasteful and profuse luxury depicted in the photographs above reflect an insatiable need for constant growth, the boundless, directionless quality of the drive to accumulate, possess, and consume. So the next part I want to talk about is creativity distribution. So in the article of creativity distribution, art and capitalism, the writer also mentions something very valuable. So the writer says the technology isn't inherently evil. It helped us a lot. And the technology has mostly been driven by profit, not by helping people thrive. Imagine what we could have created if we had focused on art, spiritual growth, real human connection, caring for the environment, and building strong communities instead of just chasing efficiency and money. But how do you price a poem that changes someone's entire perspective on life? How do you put a dollar sign value on a painting that provides comfort during grief? How do you quantify the worth of a song that helps someone through depression? How do you measure the economic impact of a dance performance that reminds people what joy feels like? These are expressions of people's authentic souls, pursued despite exhaustion from their real jobs. These are glimpses of who these people actually are when freed from economic survival mode. So we want an economy that values all aspects of human life, not just the parts that fit neatly into a company's balance sheet. We want schools that nurture the whole person, not just churn out workers for jobs that might not even exist tomorrow. We want communities that help people grow into who they really are, instead of pushing them into roles that only benefit someone else's pockets. And most of all, we want a society that thrives when everyone has a chance to share their unique talents and reach their true potential.